Hey everyone, this is Mayur. Welcome back to MLOps. In this video, we'll be extending upon our previous discussion, which is serving a model, ML model using Razor. So in the previous video, we just directly served a ML model and created an HTTP endpoint, but we did not deploy it. And basically, for deployment, what you have to do is you have a certain YAML file if you are doing a production kind of a deployment. And for example, on Kubernetes, you will be using the YAML. So what we'll do in this video is we'll extend to the next step of the Razor, where we'll create a server config and create a ray head, and then we'll try to deploy a model on that head ray head, and then we'll be sending a request and trying to get a response. So once that tutorial is done, we'll be looking into what kube ray service to deploy a model on Kubernetes. Okay, so for this video, we'll try to keep it simple. Okay, so I have already done a tutorial on how to run a ray serve and run an ML model and serve it as an HTTP endpoint. And in the section 1, that was our role, what we have done, like combining multiple models and then scaling the deployment and deploying the model as an HTTP endpoints. Now in this video, we'll just use ray serve CLI, okay, to deploy a ray model, ray application in a sense. Okay, before that, right, let's understand our basic code, like what is the model and how it is integrated. So this is the same piece of code which we have done in the previous video with a little bit of changes. Okay, so here we have our request, which will be helping us to serve the request which is coming to the ray app. Okay, and then there is typing from tick, and then we have ray serve, and then deployment handle. Deployment handle is when you want to combine multiple models, and then deployment handle comes into picture, because one model's output goes as an input to the other model. So in this case, we have summarizer model and then translator model. The input goes to the summarizer model. The output of the summarized model goes as an input to the translator model. So we'll create two serve or deployment. Okay, one is the translator deployment and there is summarizer deployment. So as part of this deployment, what we do is we load the model and how the output to be extracted, and then we give the option to select which language model it has to load. Okay, it can be English to French or German or something like Romanian. Okay, you can do that. Change in the configuration can be done. So that is there. And then for summarizer model, as expected, this will be summarizer will be sending the output of it to the translator model. That's why we have this deployment handle here, where we'll be taking the this class, right, translator class will be taken as input to this summarizer. So what we do is self.translator is equal to translator, and here we start defining summarizer model and certain parameters of those models. For example, min length of the summarizer, max length of the summarizer, and that will be passed as while loading the model, right? Self.model, and here we give those parameters, and here we have that how to extract the output summary text, and that is the result. Now, since I said it is a combination of two models, the input comes to the summarizer. That's why the call goes to summarizer first. That's why we have a call method here and we don't have it here, okay, in translator. So the call method goes to summarizer class and the request comes in and we read it asynchronously, and then we get the text and we summarize it. And then we run the translator asynchronously and pass your summarized text to the translator model and get the translation. And here we have configuration for summarizer as well, which can be reconfigured. So that's that. And now, as in the previous video, we just combine these two classes. Okay, the translator is part of summarizer. That's why we are giving it as the init function, and the constructor we are giving as deployment handle. Okay, so that will be our translator, and we are binding it to the init function. So any parameter you pass here, okay, for the translator.bind, if you pass parameters here, it will reflect here the self, followed by whatever parameter you pass here, right, next to self. And in this scenario for summarizer, translator is the parameter. Okay, so that will be coming as part of this one. So with respect to this is the whole code, okay, where we are combining two models, summarizer and translator, and we are combining it together using the bind function. Now, First thing is we have the models up and running. Now we just have to deploy the model. So before that, we have to create a config file for that. I guess I have created it. If I go here, so I have created it. Let me delete this file. Let me go here and delete this file. Yeah, move to trash. Now what we'll do is it is serve.build, and the app name is the ray trans sum, and then followed by app-o YAML. Okay, this will create a serve config. So I'll just give that as serve config.yaml. So it should generate a YAML file. So auto-generated application names default to app1, app2. So app1, app name, app1 and app2 are the name for these summarizer and translator, and combined together we have app. Okay, so let me go back to this serve config file which got created now. And if you see here, we have some proxy location every node, and then we have HTTP options, gRPC option, and then logging config. Okay, and it's currently at info log level. And there are applications. So this is app1. App1 refers to probably the summarizer or a translator, and app2 similarly. So here in this case, I guess it is combined together form and one app, right? So it is just giving it as app1. Okay, both are combined to has one app. So what we'll do is, now we have our config file. Now what we'll do is we'll start our ray cluster. For that, ray start --ed, it will start a ray cluster. So this is up and running. Okay, so if you see here, once I give ray start, okay, so here it is the local node IP, which is this one, and ray runtime started, and this is to add another node. You can give like this. Okay, this is one way to add another node, and to connect to the ray cluster, you can import ray and ray init. And if you want to submit a ray job, you can use this address and submit a ray job, and then you can stop the ray status. You can do, okay, all these things can be done. Now what we'll do is we'll be serving our deployment. Okay, this config file that we got created, we want to serve it. Now what we can do is serve deploy, and then we have to give this specific file, and let us see if it is running or not. So yeah, it is able to pick our application and it is able to run it. Okay, so we are getting green everywhere, so request is successful. Now what we can do is let me just see the serve status. So let's pull this up. So serve status is it's running, and the translator is status is healthy, and the summarizer status is healthy. Config update completed, running one. Okay, so it is up and running, I guess. Let me check again. Yep, it's up and running. Now we have seen, one second, right? We have seen status and serve config. If you want to see, let's hit serve config. What happens? Let's check that. So this is our serve config where we have two deployments, translator, summarizer. This is the one. This is the import path it has to pick from. Okay, so it is quite easy to make this thing run. Now it is almost running now actually. Okay, this is already running now because it is in running status. Now what we can do is we can try to hit this specific running application. For that we can go to our client py, and I can go to this other terminal, and here what I'll do is I'll just give python 3 client.py, and it will run it. Okay, what happened is here, if you have summary text, okay, what it will do is it will summarize this one, then it will send it to translator app. Okay, let me go here, ray serve status. So yeah, we cannot not sure if we can see the logs. Okay, so help we can give. So we don't see any logs kind of stuff happening here. Okay, so we can look into that later. Okay, for now we got our response. Okay, here we got from first the text went to summarizer model, and then we got our translation done on top of the summarized text. Okay, so that's the output we are seeing here. So with that, we are at the end of this video, because this is just using Serve CLI to deploy a model by creating a YAML here. Now what we can do is, in the next video, we can use this YAML and put it in Kubernetes environment and deploy a model in array cluster. Okay, so with that, I'll conclude this video. Thank you for watching.